The biting Montana winter was a silent, unforgiving white. At the edge of a wind-swept ranch, a pregnant young woman named Alara stood, chained. Her brother was selling her to a crude rancher. Alara was 7 moons along, her only comfort the flutter of life within. Strong legs, her brother declared, devoid of emotion, doesn't speak much. The child will come clean. The rancher's gaze was cold, and she won't run. Her brother's lips curled. She won't, not anymore. Then, a fierce jolt from within Alara's womb, a powerful demand. I hear you, little one, she whispered, tears freezing. I swear I won't let them sell you, too. As the rancher moved to haul her away, a sudden jolt from a snag wheel was all Alara needed. She slammed her shoulder into the man, snapping the chain. She tumbled into the deep snow, into the cold, into freedom. She was up instantly, limping, bleeding, running. Shouts and crunching boots followed. But Alara didn't stop. Branches clawed, ice sliced. The world blurred into a frantic canvas of gray and red. Her lungs burned. Her knees screamed. She clutched her belly like a shield. No one had ever protected her. But she would protect this child, even if it killed her. The baby's heartbeat drummed. Run, mama, run. Twilight fell, deepening the snow. The wind howled. Alara's pace faltered, fingers numb. She slipped, tumbling into a deep ravine. The cold stole her breath. Then a soft kick. I'm here, she whispered. We're still here. She clawed forward, eventually seeing a faint light through the trees. A cabin, a chance. She didn't smile, didn't cry. She just moved one breath at a time. Mama's not done yet. Just after dusk, Elias, a lone lumberjack, heard a ragged gasp and something softer. He found her, collapsed in the snow, one hand over her belly. Her lips were blue, her hair matted with ice. She was 7 or 8 months pregnant. Her eyes barely focused, but her mouth formed a single word: help. Elias knew she wouldn't make it. He also saw tracks of men nearby. He quickly covered her trail, then swiftly set a snare trap for men, not animals. He returned, and without a word, lifted her into his arms. Damn waste, he muttered, freezing to death with a baby. He carried her to his hidden cabin. Inside, he stoked the embers, lighting a fire. Warmth filled the room. He tended to her, removing her wet boots, wrapping her in fur. I don't feed strays, he muttered. But dying out there in my woods, that would be a waste of good snow. He watched as color return to her face. He remembered another fire, years ago, when he lost his daughter, Eliza. He hadn't lit a fire for anyone since. Now, he stoked it for a stranger, for a child unseen. He filled a kettle with snow, placed it on the stove. Elias said nothing more, but his eyes stayed on her belly, a new obligation stirring. He had lit a fire not just to survive, but to keep someone else alive. Alara woke to fire's crackle and pine wood smoke. She was in a small, functional cabin, a pot of stew, a wooden comb, and beside the hearth, a hand-carved wooden cradle. It wasn't new, but placed with care. Her baby kicked. We're safe. A note beside the stew read, don't burn the stew, and don't lift anything heavy. Your belly is big as a grain barrel. Alara smiled, a rare warmth. Later, Elias returned. You're up? Good. She tried to thank him. Don't, he muttered. You needed heat, that's all. As she ate, she noticed a carved frame on the mantel. Eliza, his daughter. She was, he confirmed. Long time ago, fire took her. Alara felt the shared grief. I cry for mine too, she whispered, touching the cradle. And she's not even born yet. Elias turned away. I'm not good at saving people. You saved me. He shook his head. I just hate seeing people freeze. As he left, he added, but I can keep someone warm. That I can still do. Alara sat by the cradle. The fire danced, and she no longer felt discarded. Days settled into a rhythm. Ilara navigated the cabin, finding comfort in the silence. Elias, a man of few words, quietly took care of everything, sharpening her knife, cleaning the kettle, replacing a groaning hinge. Door won't slam now. Don't leave the stew pot empty. Each kindness was wrapped in gruffness. I'm not people, he said when she noted his unusual helpfulness. One iron-skied night, Ilara felt the baby stir restlessly. Then faint hooves. Elias quickly moved her into a crawl space behind the pantry. He shut the panel just as the men stopped outside, looking for a girl, pregnant. Elias's voice was even. You see a woman out here, she's not pregnant long. He stood his ground, axe in hand, his silent warning chilling them. She ain't here. Now leave before the wolves start wondering what you smell like. The men retreated. They'll come back, Ilara said, emerging shaky. Yes, Elias confirmed. We leave before the next snow. I know someone, an old woman, an herbalist, who owed him nothing. Why are you doing this? Ilara asked. He looked at her, then said, because I don't leave fires to go out on their own. The cabin walls, once safe, now felt too small. The fire he had lit was moving. Before dawn, Elias quietly packed. Ilara, feeling contractions, whispered, What's happening? We're leaving now, he said, glancing at the window. They'll come back with more men. She faltered, too heavy to move fast. Then I'll move for you. He scooped her up, wrapping her in furs, carrying her to the wagon, tucking her gently onto a straw bed he'd made. They rode in silence. Ilara peered through a slit, seeing frozen pines and Elias's stiff back. Where are we going? She asked. To someone who doesn't ask questions. Someone who once saved me when I couldn't save anyone else. By nightfall, they reached a small cottage by a river. An old woman stepped out. You brought the storm with you, she said to Elias, and the fire I need to keep lit. Inside, the woman laid Ilara on a cot. She's close. The child wants to come soon. Elias stood nearby. They'll find us, won't they? Ilara asked. They'll try, the woman replied. But this is my land. She gave Elias a hot cloth. Boil more water and sharpen her axe. That night, 3 armed men arrived. The old woman met them outside, looking for a girl. I see only wolves and wind tonight. When they pushed, Elias appeared, axe in hand, a silent, unmovable threat. They faltered. Maybe she went the other way, one muttered, and they left. Ilara watched, her heart thrumming with something beyond fear. He stood like a mountain, she whispered to her child, and they turned like dust. The wind howled as Ilara labored. Elias, pale and stiff, knelt beside her. I'm here, he said, catching her hand. That's all I know to be. That's enough, she gritted. The old woman worked with quiet precision. Ilara screamed, a guttural sound torn from deep within. You're not alone, Elias said, his eyes steady like ancient trees. Breathe with me. Another push, another wave of pain. Everything hurts, she gasped. Then give it to me, she sobbed, in trust. Thunder cracked. The old woman leaned forward. Now, girl, push. Ilara screamed again, and then a sharp, fierce cry. The child was born. The old woman cleaned and wrapped the baby, placing her on Ilara's chest. She's strong, like her mother. Ilara stared at the tiny face, then laughed, soft and real. She's perfect. Elias stood frozen. She's yours too, Ilara said. He shook his head, but she took his calloused hand, pressing it to the child. She was born because you kept the fire burning, because you stayed when no one else did. You held the storm back long enough for her to come. His breath caught. The baby stopped crying, eyes drifting open. You kept the fire for me, Ilara whispered. Now I'll keep her for us. Elias stood, the storm wailing outside, a child breathing beneath his fingers, and a warmth rising his chest that hurt more than any axe swing. He almost smiled. By dawn, Elias had finished the cradle, carved from pine, etched with wild blooms. It was sturdier than the old one. Elara came in with the baby. "You made this?" she asked. He shrugged. The old one squeaked. She ran her hand over the carvings. "These flowers, I used to pick them with my mother." That night, Elara hummed lullabies. Elias sat nearby, sharpening a blade, always near, silent, steady. One afternoon, dogs growled. A wagon approached. Elias stepped outside, axe in hand. 3 men dismounted, looking for a runaway white woman. Her brothers put up a bounty. Elias raised his axe. "She's a criminal. She's a mother." The man smirked. "You hiding her?" Elias's eyes turned to steel. "You want her? You'll have to take me first." Something shifted in his stance, a dark weight, a storm behind his calm. The men hesitated, then left. Elara emerged, holding her daughter tightly. She looked at Elias, the worn lines, the weather-beaten coat, the callous hands, and eyes burning with loyalty. "You didn't have to do that." He looked away. They weren't worth a fight. She smiled gently. "You are." He said nothing. "You're not just a roof," she whispered. "You're a hearth, a place, a shelter. You're home, even without a roof." Spring melted the last snow. The cabin stood taller, expanded, reinforced. A new window, a new shelf for Elara's dried herbs. The cradle polished clean. A wooden table bore small notches from spoons and laughter. They had returned not just to the woods, but to a home. Elias still chopped wood, but his axe now rested beside tiny carved animals. Elara nursed the baby, now months old, her quiet gaze matching Elias's. The nearby village, once spoken with caution, sent an invitation, a festival. Elias resisted. "We're not people for gatherings." Elara smiled. "No, but she might be." So they went. At the simple ceremony around a fire, Elara spoke. "My name is Elara. Once, I was sold by my own blood. I ran not because I was brave, but because the child inside me kicked so hard. I was not saved by a hero. I was found by a man who said little, but he built fires. He left me on the table, he sharpened knives, and he stood between me and those who wish me gone." She touched her chest, not with speeches, but with shelter, with warmth, with a cradle carved from loss. He'd never told me I was safe. He simply made it true. A hush fell. Elias approached, drawing a small wooden blade from his pocket, carved with hope. He crouched, placing it gently in their daughter's tiny hand. "She'll outgrow it," he said, his voice rough, "but she'll remember it was sharp once." Later, back in the cabin, the fire crackled. Elara hummed. Elias carved a new piece of wood, focused because she would hold it one day. Outside, snow began to fall, quiet, unhurried. It no longer carried memory, only silence. And that, finally, was peace.